All right. Greetings, swords people. Here we are, the very first episode of Cav Covers It. We are looking at the Joburg Open. We used to call it the European Tour, and actually this year, I believe a company out of the Middle East is sponsoring the tour, so we are now calling it the DP World Tour. All right, rock and roll. And basically, I think this is the start of the season. It might be the first event. I think we were finishing last season with the last event with the winners, and we had that 4-day no cut. And we're starting off on what used to be kind of, I think, called the Sunshine Swing here, which is going to be the South African swing here. Well, anyways, let's just get into it. Thanksgiving week, so, a lot of golfers around the world are probably off. We have no PGA event this week. Could be a good spot for us to try to find some golfers and make a few bucks, hit some lineups. Some of the names we know, and for having played the South African swing the last couple of years, most of the names are pretty familiar here. But we will be playing a new track, Randpark Golf Course. To my knowledge, there is no previous history here. Maybe I'm wrong, if you guys want to check it out. And I did check the players list, and there are no golfers that play out of this course as their home track. There are South African golfers, and none of them have Randpark listed as their home course. Okay, let's get into the course a little bit here. Obviously, in Euro, we have no shot link, so we don't know how many birdies, how many bogeys, etc. That's something for Europe that, as a site we can look into and try to, differentiate ourselves and track eventually. It's something to think about, but let's take a look here. It's a par 71, so we're going to have a 1-5 on the front, and we're going to have 2 5s on the back. And I don't really know the course layouts, although I'll take a little bit of a look online and see if I can gather how much sand or water is on the track. But just quickly looking at the yardages, we've got 597 par 5. That's pretty long. And then you've got the 8th hole as a 3. That's 208. If it's nothing crazy, you could potentially birdie 208, I would think, right? And then looks like that those first 3 holes, that hole 2, that par 4 looks like a tougher one in the first 3. So, that one could be a bit of a challenge. And then we get the 2 5s on the back. And it looks like a little bit of more, 4s look pretty tough, some of them. So you've got 18th hole, which is a 507 par 4. That could be a challenge. We've got number 2, which is 503 yard par 4. And 10 is 487. Anyways, so looking at it, it's a 71. So if you have golfers that you tend to like on par 72s, or guys who are bombers who you think are going to knock in a lot of 5s, maybe this isn't the spot for them. Or on the flip, if it's going to be hard to score and you want to really lean on guys who might be longer players, then that could potentially work too. So that's a quick breakdown of the course, or a long breakdown. Sorry for being long-winded. But that's a look at the par 71, total of 7,506 yards. So something that, we sometimes forget to do and is really important, I think, and I'm guilty of it too, is checking the weather. And so I'm going to go ahead and give us a quick look, folks, and it's ugly. It's real ugly out here. So it's going to be raining, but if you look, we've got quite a bit of wind. I feel like last week we had some wind and I felt it would make scores go low, and maybe I was wrong, but the thing about the wind this week and the weather is it seems pretty consistently bad. I mean, as we can see here, so while it's going to be windy, I don't see a particular advantage for certain tee times. So I guess my takeaway here is we've got a par 71 and we're going to have a lot of wind. And we're going to have some rain, so conditions could be ugly. And for me, that makes me think, it's going to be closer to par scoring, needless to say, with weather like this. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm thinking, it's not going to be minus 20. It's going to be minus 10, minus 8, minus 12, something along those lines. All right, so let's jump in and take a quick look at some prices. And the first thing I want to do as we look at this list, before we do anything else, is note a couple golfers that I was not familiar with. Julian Brun. So I brought this kid Julian Brun up, and he is a 29-year-old French player. He has a Challenge Tour win this season. I guess he won an amateur event in 2012 on the Challenge Tour, and then he won recently. So he's playing at a TCU, and then we can take a quick look at his official world golf rankings and see if we see anything here. So he's got himself a nice stretch of finishes going on the Challenge Tour other than this missed cut. If we look, so out of, let's just say, she's got an 11, a 12, a 2, an 11, a 1. So that's 4 weeks in a row, 12 or better. And he falls off a little bit with a 25, a 28, and a miss. I don't know what happened in the Italian Challenge Tour. But, golf's a hard game, so he's coming in really good form. He's been on the Challenge Tour, so he's probably seen some tough weather. I don't know enough about him, but it looks like he's had some experience playing on the African continent as well, as I look over here. The African Tour. So he could be, it looks like he has some experience on the African Tour. Okay, so that's Julian Brun. And then another one I wanted to quickly bring attention to, because I thought this was pretty interesting. Another golfer that I really didn't know much about is this kid right here, Matteo Manassero. And Matteo Manassero is quite an interesting guy because, believe it or not, in 2009, at the age of 16, he became the youngest ever winner of the British Amateur Championship. And on April 9th, 2010, Manassero beat Bobby Cole's record, which lasted since 1976, to become the youngest player to ever make the cut at the Masters tournament at 16 and 11 months, 22 days. I mean, are you kidding me? This kid made the cut at the Masters at 16 years old. I mean, how can I not give this kid some consideration? So then what kind of happens, as we all know, is he does okay for a little bit and he loses his form. And he's lost his form. Here's an article about his spectacular loss of form. So, is this a type of game where maybe he figures a couple things out and comes out firing, or is he going to just still be a mess? At 16 years old, you think, there's going to be a progression. But we see these type of things happen, so is Manassero worth a shot? I have no idea, but just wanted to ask you guys about that. All right, now let's get into a couple of plays and take a look at the board. So Burmester and Fratelli, we know these guys well. Dean comes off a 6th in Dubai and a 44th. He shot a ridiculous 65 on the first day in the first Dubai event, as I'm highlighting here. And obviously he's from South Africa. He's been a tour player for a long time. He's won. He's got a bunch of top 7s, as you see. He consistently makes the cut. But, I mean, I gotta wonder about my man Dylan here. I mean, Dylan has won on the PGA Tour. So, is this a misprice here? I mean, is Dylan being a little bit disrespected? I mean, he just finished, he's got a 19 and a 22 on the PGA Tour. Yes, he did miss his last cut. But, I don't know. Those might be flipped. And then Veerman here got cut twice in a row and then had a better week this past week. Yeah, he burned me 2 weeks ago for sure. So that's Veerman. And then we know most of these guys. I want to take a quick look at Jordan because I think we've been doing pretty well with Jordan. I mean, young kid. He's got 3 top 10s. He hasn't missed a cut. He's missed 1 cut out of the last 5. And if he goes a little lower last week on Sunday, probably ends up, with a top 20, maybe a little better, say. So, I actually really like this kid, Jordan. And the other thing is, I tend to think that these English kids can probably hold up in bad weather, bad wind. Maybe it's a bias, maybe I'm wrong, but you think of sort of these links courses, you think of England, you think of that area, and you think it's raining all the freaking time when they're playing. Coetzee, we know well. He's made 3 of his last cuts, but he hasn't really been threatening. Experienced player. And then here's the young gunner, Matt Schmidt. I mean, so he misses in Spain, but I think that might have been the one Rahm missed also. So, if the best player in the world is missing that cut, can we forgive that one? And the Hero Open, too, he didn't get through with that first round 80, but that's just a blow up. Can we forgive that? And other than that, the kid can clearly threaten. He's got a 9, a 2, and an 11 out of the last 5, and he's very young, and he's very talented. Will he be experienced? How does he hold up in the wind, the rain? That's another question. Might be you want to go with more experience, and maybe Matty is not the play here. And does he have experience playing in South Africa? I'm not sure, so. Justin Harding, we know well. Take a quick look. He's been making his cuts the last few weeks. Experienced golfer, but, not really cracking the top 50. So, yes, he has more experience and has been around for longer than some of these guys, but he's not coming in great form, And so not sure if we want to give him a run. Another one I want to take a quick look at is this kid, Marcus Helkage. He's done well with a 25 and a 12. And I actually just... these fields were not that bad. They weren't that great, but they weren't that terrible. And he's a 25-year-old kid, so, still maybe a little younger than most of them, still developing. And, he's made 2 cuts in two decent fields. But he's pretty expensive, Okay, we'll keep going. I couldn't do this without giving Jack K a look. I mean, so Jack was on a pretty good run going into the Czech, and then he really kind of had, well, not really, he totally had bad weeks in a row. 3, he missed the cut. Well, he missed the cut outright on the first 2, and then he missed the cut on this 3rd day at Alfred Dunhill, which is something I never like to see. When you have that 3rd day cut, we really like to see you make it, obviously. But, and that round, he finished with at 16th in Majorca, but he had that round 271. So, if he could have cleaned that up a little bit, maybe he could have shaved a stroke or 2 off. But we haven't seen him since October. So it's been about a month since we've seen him play. He's probably been at home in South Africa, chilling and getting ready. I think so. I think I might be able to get behind Jack K here again, just because also compared to some of these other guys, he's a little bit cheaper. I have a feeling that Zach is going to go with him. And then Fitchert here too. I mean, Fitchert comes all the way down to 77 this week, and he had a really nice run that we're not seeing before this board. And, he hasn't gone low, let's just say, but he's been hanging around. So, is he a better play than somebody like Harding, maybe? I like my guy Santiago Tario. He's got some experience. He's got a 3 at the Hero and had a good little run. He's been making cuts, 7,500. I don't know that I'd have a problem getting behind that necessarily. And here's my guy Daniel Gavins, again, another one I like considering because he has one miss, but, overall he's been playing really well, I think. And he's developing, I think. So if we get bad weather, is this a situation where these English guys can maybe hang in there and have experience playing in bad weather? Gavins comes in at 73. I tend to like this kid. Probably could get behind him again. Then a couple other ones I want to take a quick look at is Niall Kearney, who I tend to like to back a lot too. So he missed a cut in Majorca. But other than that, he's had a nice little solid run. I don't think he has much experience playing in South Africa. But again, if you think about Ireland and the weather, I would like to think that he has experience playing in wind and rain. And then there's a bunch of other guys down the list. Whitnell might be able to do solid if it's closer to even. I like these kids. Craig Howie, quite a bit. As a young Scottish kid, so in the last 4, he's made 2 and missed 2, but I think he's got upside, and he comes in at 7,000. And let's just take a quick last look. I'm a big fan of this kid, Theo Surgis, overall, but might not be enough 5s, and I tend to like him more with 5s. Yeah, and I think those are most of the guys. All right, so those are my preliminary feelings. I don't think I'm going to go all the way down here on the board, to be honest with you. I'm going to go ahead and build some lineups, be curious to hear what everybody thinks or who they like, and hopefully this provides us a little bit of a basis to get some lineups in or get some bets in. But, with no PGA this week, I definitely want to try to go for this a little bit here. So, all right, that's the Joburg Open of the DP Tour.